The Salvage Queen's Redemption. Chapter 1. Sanctuary in the Scrap Heap. The worn leather of Jessa Stone's gloves creaked as she gripped the throttle of the Harbinger. The old ship groaned and shuddered in response, its engines coughing out a plume of sooty exhaust as it navigated the chaotic currents of the Orion Spur. A nebula shimmered like a veil of stardust across the viewport, its ethereal beauty a stark contrast to the harsh reality of life on the fringes of the galaxy. "Captain, got something on the long-range scanners." Finn's voice crackled over the comms, a hint of excitement threading through his usual drawl. Finn was the youngest of her crew, a scrawny kid with a mop of unruly brown hair and an uncanny knack for sniffing out tech buried in the cosmic junkyard. Jessa swiveled her chair, eyes narrowing as she focused on the tactical display. A faint blip flickered on the edge of the screen, barely distinguishable from the cosmic static. "What have we got, Finn?" "Unregistered vessel," Finn replied, his fingers dancing over the keyboard with the speed and precision of a concert pianist. "Old, looks like. Terran Krelin war vintage." Jessa straightened up, a spark of interest igniting in her eyes. She ran a hand through her short, dark hair, a habit she'd picked up during long hours spent hunched over circuit boards and engine manifolds. "A relic, eh? Could be worth a pretty penny if it's got any salvageable tech." "That's what I'm thinking, Captain." Finn grinned, revealing a gap-toothed smile that belied his sharp mind. "All right, crew," Jessa announced over the ship's intercom, her voice crisp and commanding. "Suit up and prep for boarding. Looks like we've hit the jackpot." The Harbinger's airlock hissed open, and Jessa led her motley crew onto the derelict ship, their boots echoing in the cavernous silence. The vessel was a maze of rusted corridors and shattered consoles, a ghost ship whispering tales of a forgotten conflict. Each member of the crew moved with the practiced efficiency of a well-oiled machine. Biggs, Jessa's burly second-in-command, grunted as he hefted a heavy crate of power cells. Pip, the ship's wiry engineer, whistled a tuneless melody as he examined a salvage navigation system. Even Echo, the taciturn pilot, seemed to move with a bit more spring in his step, lured by the promise of riches. As they delved deeper into the ship's bowels, they stumbled upon an anomaly, a sealed bulkhead emitting a faint, rhythmic hum. Jessa exchanged a curious glance with Biggs. "What do you reckon, Cap?" Biggs asked, his scarred face etched with a mixture of curiosity and caution. The scars were a testament to his past, a life of hard knocks and close calls. Jessa shrugged, a hint of a smile playing on her lips. "Only one way to find out, Biggs. Let's see what this old bird's hiding." With a grunt, Biggs pried open the bulkhead, revealing a sight that took Jessa's breath away. A vibrant oasis filled the cavernous hold, teeming with exotic flora and fauna bathed in a soft, bioluminescent glow. Strange, bioluminescent flowers bloomed in vibrant hues, their petals shimmering like iridescent jewels. Delicate vines twisted around alien trees, their leaves rustling softly in a gentle breeze. "Well, I'll be damned," Jessa breathed, her eyes wide with wonder. Suddenly a figure stepped out of the shadows, tall, slender, with skin like shimmering moonlight. "Welcome," the figure said, its voice resonating in their minds, "to the sanctuary." The figure introduced herself as Alara, a guardian of this hidden world. Her voice was melodic, soothing, like a gentle stream flowing over smooth stones. She explained that the derelict ship was a refuge for endangered alien species, a sanctuary protected from the chaos of the galaxy. As Alara spoke, Jessa felt a strange sensation wash over her, a warmth that spread through her chest and settled in the pit of her stomach. A warmth she hadn't felt in years, a flicker of something akin to hope. A pirate, a scavenger, a woman hardened by years of hardship and betrayal. Jessa Stone felt the first stirrings of a long-lost longing for something more, something better. Redemption, perhaps? Chapter 2, The Pirate's Dilemma. Back on the Harbinger, the air crackled with a tension thicker than the ship's recycled oxygen. Jessa paced the length of the bridge, her boots thudding against the metal grating. The crew watched her with a mixture of apprehension and curiosity. The Salvage Queen was known for her quick decisions and decisive action, but now she seemed lost in thought. "Captain?" Biggs finally broke the silence, his voice a rumble that echoed through the cramped space. "What's the plan?" Jessa stopped pacing, her gaze sweeping over the crew. I don't know, Biggs, she admitted, her voice barely a whisper. We can't just leave all that tech behind, Pip interjected, his fingers twitching as if he could already feel the cool metal of alien components against his skin. That's a fortune just sitting there. Aye, agreed Jinx, the ship's wiry pilot. And those fancy plants, those could fetch a good price on the black market. A chorus of murmurs and nods rippled through the crew. Jessa felt a familiar pull, the siren song of easy riches and quick thrills. But the image of Ilara's serene face, her plea for protection, lingered in her mind. Ilara, the young guardian, had reached out to Jessa during the night, her telepathic voice a gentle whisper in the darkness. You are conflicted, Jessa Stone, she had said, torn between your past and a future you haven't dared to imagine. Jessa had been startled, then intrigued. Ilara spoke of empathy, of compassion, of a shared responsibility for the galaxy's fragile ecosystem. Words that seemed foreign to Jessa, a woman who had spent her life clawing her way through the cutthroat world of salvage and piracy. There is good in you, Jessa Stone, Ilara had said, her voice filled with an unwavering conviction that pierced through Jessa's hardened shell. A spark of light buried beneath layers of pain and regret. Do not let it fade. The memory of Ilara's words echoed in Jessa's mind, a stark contrast to the greedy whispers of her crew. She looked at her people, her family. They were scavengers, yes, but they were also survivors, hardened by the harsh realities of the Orion Spur. They depended on her, looked up to her. Jessa took a deep breath, steeling herself. We're not touching the sanctuary, she declared, her voice ringing with newfound resolve. A wave of discontent washed over the crew. Biggs frowned. Jinx let out a low whistle and Pip's fingers stilled. But Captain, Biggs protested, that's a fortune we're leaving behind. Maybe, Jessa replied, her eyes fixed on the viewport, the swirling nebula a backdrop to her inner turmoil. But there are some things more valuable than credits. This sanctuary, those creatures, they're worth protecting. Her words hung in the air, a challenge to her crew and to herself. The Harbinger fell silent, the only sound the hum of the ship's life support systems. The tense silence was broken by a sharp beep from the comms. Finn's voice, now laced with urgency, cut through the tension. Captain, incoming transmission. It's a distress beacon. From the Valkyrie. Jessa's heart sank. Patch it through, she ordered, a sense of dread settling in her gut. A raspy voice filled the bridge, the words barely distinguishable through the static. This is Captain Cregan of the Bloodhound, requesting immediate assistance. Coordinates? Salvage rights. Jessa's eyes widened. Cregan. The name alone sent a chill down her spine. He was a ruthless pirate, a predator who preyed on the weak and vulnerable, and now he was heading straight for the sanctuary. Chapter 3. The Guardian's Gambit. Jessa stood on the bridge of the Harbinger, her jaw set, her eyes burning with a fire that had nothing to do with greed. Set course for the Valkyrie, she commanded, her voice echoing through the ship's speakers. There was a moment of stunned silence. Then Biggs, his face a mask of disbelief, stepped forward. Captain, are you sure? We're outgunned, outnumbered. Jessa cut him off with a raised hand. I've made my decision, Biggs. We're not running, we're fighting. A murmur of approval rippled through the crew. They had always respected Jessa's strength and determination. But this was different. This was a fight for something more than just profit, something that resonated with a deeper part of their souls. As the Harbinger approached the Valkyrie, Jessa met with Ilara and the other Guardians. Ilara's serene demeanor belied the urgency of their situation. We have little time, she said, her voice a gentle melody in Jessa's mind. Cregan will not hesitate to destroy everything in his path. We won't let him, Jessa said, her voice firm. We'll use this ship, this sanctuary, to our advantage. Together they devised a plan. The Valkyrie's advanced technology, once used for war, would now be repurposed for defense. They would turn the ship's weapon systems against Cregan's fleet, using the sanctuary's dense foliage and winding tunnels as cover. Jessa rallied her crew, explaining the plan in simple, direct terms. We're going to fight smart, not just hard, she told them. We'll use our wits, our skills, and this old ship to give them hell. The crew responded with a fierce determination, their loyalty to Jessa solidified by her newfound purpose. They worked tirelessly, modifying the Valkyrie's weapons, setting traps, and preparing for the inevitable assault. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the sanctuary in an eerie twilight, Cregan's fleet arrived. A swarm of sleek, predatory ships, their hulls bristling with weaponry, descended upon the Valkyrie. The first shots rang out, a cacophony of laser fire and explosions. Jessa watched from the bridge, her heart pounding in her chest. But instead of fear, she felt a strange sense of exhilaration. This was a fight worth fighting, a cause worth dying for. "Ilara," Jessa said, her voice barely audible over the din of battle. "Can you feel them?" Ilara nodded, her eyes closed in concentration. "I can sense their intentions," she whispered, "their movements, their weaknesses." With Ilara's guidance, Jessa directed her crew, her commands precise and unwavering. They lured Cregan's ships into the sanctuary's labyrinthine tunnels, ambushing them with surprise attacks and disabling their weapons. The battle raged for hours, a chaotic dance of light and shadow. But slowly the tide began to turn. Jessa's crew, fueled by adrenaline and a newfound sense of purpose, fought with a ferocity that surprised even themselves. As the last of Cregan's ships retreated, battered and broken, Jessa slumped back in her chair, a weary smile spreading across her face. They had done it. They had defended the sanctuary, protected the innocent, and proven that even a pirate could find redemption in the most unexpected of places. Chapter 4. A Battle for Redemption. The once tranquil air of the sanctuary was shattered by the discordant symphony of blaster fire and the metallic screech of tearing metal. The Valkyrie's hull shuddered as Cregan's ships, sleek predators against the backdrop of stars, unleashed their fury upon the ancient vessel. Inside the ship, the air thrummed with tension, the smell of ozone mingling with the earthy scent of the sanctuary's flora. Jessa barked orders from the command deck, her voice a steady counterpoint to the chaos raging outside. "Biggs, reroute power to the ventral turrets. Finn, jam their comms. Pip, I need that ion cannon online now." Her crew responded with the practiced synchronicity of a well-rehearsed orchestra. Biggs' thick fingers flew over the control panel, diverting energy with the swiftness of a seasoned gambler. Finn, hunched over his console, tapped a rapid rhythm on his keyboard, a digital symphony of interference signals. Pip, his brow furrowed in concentration, coaxed a crackling surge of energy from the ancient ion cannon. The Valkyrie's defenses roared to life, unleashing a barrage of laser fire and particle beams that ripped through the ranks of Cregan's fleet. The sanctuary's bioluminescent plants pulsed with the defensive energy, their ethereal glow intensifying as they deflected incoming fire. Ilara, her silver skin gleaming in the dim light, sat cross-legged on the deck, her eyes closed in deep concentration. A faint hum emanated from her, a psychic resonance that pulsed through the ship, reaching out to touch the minds of Cregan's crew. "Confusion," she whispered, her voice a barely audible murmur. "Doubt. Fear." On board Cregan's flagship, the Bloodhound, chaos reigned. Crew members stumbled, their eyes glazed with uncertainty. Orders were misinterpreted, commands contradicted. The well-oiled machine of Cregan's pirate fleet began to unravel. Cregan himself, a hulking figure with eyes like chips of ice, slammed his fist against the control panel, his frustration mounting. "What in the abyss is happening?" he roared, his voice booming through the ship's comms. But even his iron will could not quell the rising tide of doubt and fear that Ilara's telepathic whispers had sown. Meanwhile, Jessa led a small team through the sanctuary's winding tunnels, their footsteps muffled by the soft earth. They moved with the silent grace of predators, their weapons poised. "There!" Jessa hissed, pointing to a group of pirates attempting to breach the sanctuary's core. The battle was swift and brutal. Jessa fought with the ferocity of a cornered animal, her movements fluid and deadly. Biggs, a mountain of muscle, waded into the fray, his massive fists crushing armor and bone. As the last of the pirates fell, Jessa stood panting, her breath misting in the cool air. She looked up, her eyes locking with Cregan's as he stormed towards her, his face contorted with rage. "You'll pay for this, Stone," he snarled, his voice dripping with venom. Jessa met his gaze, her eyes blazing with a fire he had never seen before. "No," she said, her voice firm and unwavering. "This ends now." The two charged towards each other, their weapons clashing in a shower of sparks. It was a battle of strength and skill, of desperation and determination. But as they fought, Jessa knew this was more than just a fight for survival. This was a fight for redemption. Chapter 5, A New Legacy. The smoke of battle hung heavy in the air, the acrid smell of burning metal mingling with the sweet scent of crushed foliage. The Harbinger floated alongside the scarred hull of the Valkyrie, both ships bearing the wounds of a hard-fought victory. Jessa Stone stood on the bridge, her hands clasped behind her back, her gaze fixed on the sanctuary that shimmered below. The vibrant glow of bioluminescent flora pulsed with a renewed energy, a testament to the resilience of life. Beside her, Alara, the young guardian, radiated a serene aura, her telepathic presence a soothing balm in the wake of the conflict. "You have done well, Jessa Stone," she said, her voice a gentle echo in Jessa's mind. "You have proven that even the most hardened heart can be softened by compassion." Jessa turned to Alara, her eyes softening. "I owe it all to you," she replied, a hint of vulnerability in her voice. "You showed me a different path, a path I never thought I was capable of taking." Alara smiled, her eyes twinkling with warmth. "The path was always there, Jessa. You simply needed the courage to find it." Jessa's crew emerged from the ship's corridors, their faces etched with exhaustion, but also with a newfound pride. Biggs approached Jessa, his burly frame towering over her. "Captain," he said, his voice gruff but sincere, "we're proud of you. You made the right call." Jessa met his gaze, a warmth spreading through her chest. "We all did, Biggs," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "We all fought for something bigger than ourselves." As the crew gathered on the bridge, Jessa addressed them, her voice ringing with newfound conviction. "Today we proved that we are more than just pirates," she said. "We are protectors, guardians of this sanctuary and all its inhabitants." A cheer erupted from the crew, a chorus of voices united in a shared sense of purpose. In the weeks that followed, the Harbinger remained docked alongside the Valkyrie, its crew working alongside the Guardians to repair the damage and ensure the sanctuary's continued safety. Jessa, once feared as the Salvage Queen, became known as the Guardian's ally, a symbol of hope and redemption in the lawless Orion Spur. Word of her actions spread throughout the sector, inspiring other pirates and scavengers to reconsider their ways. Some even joined Jessa's cause, pledging their ships and skills to the protection of the sanctuary. Jessa, once driven by greed and ambition, found a new purpose in the preservation of life. She spent her days exploring the sanctuary's hidden corners, learning from the Guardians about the delicate balance of the ecosystem and the interconnectedness of all living things. One day, as she stood on the edge of a shimmering lagoon, watching a group of playful alien creatures frolic in the water, Alara approached her. "You have changed, Jessa Stone," she said, her voice filled with warmth and approval. "You have found your true path." Jessa smiled, her heart swelling with gratitude. "I have you to thank for that, Alara," she replied. "You helped me see that even a pirate can find redemption." Alara placed a hand on Jessa's shoulder, her touch gentle but firm. "The galaxy needs more people like you, Jessa," she said. "People who are willing to fight for what is right, even when it means facing their own demons." Jessa looked out at the vast expanse of the sanctuary, a place of beauty and hope in a harsh and unforgiving galaxy. She knew that her journey was far from over, that new challenges and dangers awaited her. But for the first time in a long time, she felt a sense of peace, a sense of belonging. She was no longer the Salvage Queen, but something far more meaningful, a guardian of life, a beacon of hope, and a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit.